guys and girls? We're back on the Rippercast. Thank you for joining me, and we've even got more people in here this time, which is amazing.
Oh, what's up, guys and girls? We're back.
We
on
are
the
back, and I've got
Rippercast.
feedback because I'm a moron. I didn't turn my thingy off, so there we go. That's done. So, as always, I'm the Ripper Daddy B, and we've got Ash Scion's handler with us, Colin. Colin in the air, bud.
Hey, how's it going?
Right, let's check one thing first of all, because I am useless. Can you guys hear Colin?
I hope so.
I did one of these with Amber Ryan about a year ago, and it took me about an hour to realise she wasn't actually being heard by anybody else. So, yeah, they might even still be on my show reel, to be fair. Just fucking ridiculous.
I can't see the chat now, so I'm gonna have to take your word for everything.
Yeah, right, so I've turned my mic up. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, we'll just wait for the chat to catch up. Yes, brilliant, awesome. So yeah, we're here with Colin. Say hello, Colin.
Hi, everybody.
So if you missed the first part of the Rippercast, which most of you did, I vented a few frustrations about my problems with the current state of Boardwalk Wrestling. Got it all off my chest before we had a little bit of fun. Before we get into anything more fun, Colin, what do you think about you've only been with Boardwalk a little while, but what do you think about any of the potential political issues I raised within Boardwalk?
Well, I'll say this. I've only been in Boardwalk a short while, but I've been watching Boardwalks pretty much since day one. It's a habit I picked up back when I was a mod at Rough Cut, and I just watch a lot of feds. I read a lot of feds. I participate in a lot of feds in ways that those feds aren't even aware of. So I mean, I've always liked Boardwalk. I always knew that eventually I'd end up here. As for the political stuff, I mean, I don't see it, and I think that Mike is very conscious of having systems in place that kind of steers talk away from that, with having the multiple voting judges and all of that. But I mean, I really haven't been here long enough, or been watching that aspect close enough to comment on that. So
yeah, and that's fair enough. I mean, I directed a few stabbing remarks at Mike, I must say, but as a whole, I love Boardwalk and I love the system they have in place. I've never been one to say they don't judge fairly, because I believe they do 100% every single time. I mean, the issues I raised were around the treatment of Amy Jo Smith's handler Megan and Chris CJ O'Donnell. What were your thoughts on Chris's handling of the Internet Championship a couple of weeks back?
I mean, the no-show, I took those two things, the no-show and the stipulation. I mean, that stipulation is always a dick move, as far as I'm concerned. Because I've had guys do it in matches against me. I've had guys do it, I've seen it done back in the EWO when I was there. When somebody says, if I don't win this match, I'm legit pulling my character out of this promotion, it's really them just trying to get a little blackmail move over on the judges, get a little edge in, and I just think it's dirty pool, So that combined with the no-show, I thought, you know what, this guy, probably this is not a good fit for him anyway, because Boardwalks always seem to be above that kind of fray.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, straight up, total honesty, I've done it before. I've said if I don't win this match, I'm leaving. But I knew this was back in the OCW days, but I'd already talked to the Fed heads before then to announce that, if I do leave, it's because I'd already taken on a staff role and I wasn't competing to the best of my ability. So if I'd lost, I just wanted to focus purely on staff, and Chris is gone. There's no two ways about that.
Right.
I knew that going in. And as I said, the big issue I had with Chris no-showing, it does happen, but he didn't warn Megan in advance, nor did any of the staff members that knew, and I know for a fact at least 2 of them knew before deadline. So,
and I mean, if you no-show any match the week before you're going up against the Fed's champion main event at a pay-per-view, I mean, it just reflects poorly on you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I realize things happen, but I mean, I don't know. It puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, we've had some issues with Chris in the past. He was pretty much the guy that started the exodus of Boardwalk back in September. I still don't know a lot of the reasons behind what had happened. I do kind of take it personally because it happened just after my championship win, which
Right.
kind of makes me feel like it had something to do with it. I mean, maybe I'm just being the egotistical bastard I am, but I can't help but feel that we've always had problems with Chris. At the end of the day, he's gone. Now it backfired on him, whatever he was trying to do. I mean, he said to me that the reason he picked that stipulation was to expect the best out of me. Which, if anybody knows me and has known me for a while, there's nothing short of the best. I only work mostly one match a month, so you're always going to get the damn best out of me. It doesn't matter who
And
you
I
are.
mean, that's an easy line to cover up your actual intentions, you know?
Yeah, and I said the same thing before, and he said to me he just wanted to focus on my match, but we all know the problems he had with Megan, and a few of the others have had with her as well. So, but
And you know what? Look, I'm not going to try and come off as somebody who's completely egoless. I've been playing this game almost 20 years. There are people who have rubbed me the wrong way, who I've, been in that kind of situation with. And sometimes that happens. And you end up booked against somebody you genuinely don't like, and you do things that you might not otherwise do. But, you try and get above that. Like, geez.
yeah, I can't disagree. I am egotistical. That's not an answer, but if I'm given a match, no matter what match it is, I will take it and I will do the best I can. Because to me, the greatest victory, the greatest way to stroke my own ego, is to continue to win.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's the way it is. But with that said, I'm going to move on from that slightly not so happy topic now, and we're going to move on to what Ash Scion has gone on to do in her very, very short time at Boardwalk. Congratulations, new Anarchy champion. How do you feel about that win?
That was good. There was a lot of activity in that match, so it was far from a sure thing. I mean, I was really happy with the last one I put up. I thought that it might have delivered, but by far, I mean, it was not the most comfortable outcome. It wasn't one of those situations where like, oh, I've got this in the bag. So right up until the results went up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I thought there was a pretty good chance somebody else could take that. So
Yeah, you say 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like 10 a.m. for me, and I was just sitting here fretting, going, "Come on, come on!" I wake up on a Friday morning and I read the results, and it's like, "Come on!" But so yeah, Ash Scion is currently the Anarchy champion, and you've already stated you'll put the belt up against, I believe it's Taryn Willow this coming week.
yeah, that was just a fun little storyline idea. It's a good way to get sort of like Ash Scion is both trained by and married to my longest running character, Kyle Cross, who is like this mega face who has this whole sort of code of ethics and everything. And she's just since marrying him started to adopt that. So I thought it was a good way to sort of get her principles introduced in Boardwalk to people who may not have seen her in other places over the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I've got to admit, it's a brilliant way to work it, and you have figured out how to use Twitter to its most useful standard, because, let's face it, some people don't. But
Yeah,
in fact,
Ash wouldn't be the character she is if it wasn't for Twitter, that's for sure.
it goes for a lot of us. So while I'm on the subject, I brought up Twitter before. I know Mike himself has a bit of an issue with it. How do you feel about people using Twitter to kind of blur their lines between in character and out?
Well, I mean, that's where the problem comes in, right? I mean, Twitter's a great tool when it's used exclusively either as an out of character tool like I do with the Blue Shark or as an in character tool like I do with Ash Scion. But when you do kind of mix, your personal feelings in with your character's feelings, like the character stops being its own entity at that point. It just becomes sort of a mask that you can put on. And I just find like there are people on Twitter who I find do that, and they seem to be the ones that are constantly involved in the little scraps and the drama, and I just don't see the point.
Hmm.
Ash would be above that, so I kind of have to be.
Yeah, and I've seen the same thing. I mean, I am not the best guy to talk about proper Twitter usage because we all know I use it as much for my out of character stuff as my in character stuff. But
Sure.
it was never really designed to be an in character account, so it just kind
Right.
of fell
Right.
that way. But we have seen a few Twitter issues being raised over the past few weeks. Not least of which, she's not with us anymore, but Ramona Epps picking on Psych Divine. I think she took it a bit too far, but we'll move straight on from that one.
I mean, Ramona's one of those people on Twitter though who like a Drew Stevenson or a Ramona Apps, or there's a handful of people who I kind of sometimes can't tell if it's. I think to a degree that's who their characters are.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I love Ramona. The character on screen is what you see on Twitter, so
Right.
it might look a bit much to some people. I've told her off a few times, as I said in the first part, I kind of take it on my own shoulders to kind of watch over the handlers in the Fed sometimes, because I know they get a little out of control. And Mike hates Twitter, so he's not going to watch them all the time.
Sure.
But on that big fact, we saw quite the issue being raised over the past few weeks between Megan, and I will say their names straight out, Bill and Brendan of Staff, who have openly mocked Megan's treatment of them. Now, as staff members, I think they need to rein it in a little bit. Megan, as I've said before, is not the most easy person to get along with. If you ever come across her, you'll understand once in a while. We've had our problems.
I'm familiar.
I mean, me and her, we've had our problems. And like grown adults, we've sat down, we've hashed it out, and now we get along perfectly fine. But do you reckon it reflects badly on the Fed when two staff members start behaving that way on a social media platform?
Well, I mean, I can frame it through this touchstone. During the 5 years I was a mod at Rough Cut, there was probably about 10 of us on the mod squad at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was kind of like the heyday. We're talking 2006 through 2011. Rough Cut was really busy in those days and really popular. And the mods had a lot of power. Cut basically just let us run the site. And, there were guys like me and Noah Hansen who were kind of more laid back and tried to run the place with a degree of fairness. And then you had a guy like Triple B, who was essentially...
Carry on, yeah.
Triple B was essentially a bully on that site. And, he pulled no punches. And when you're the staff member, whether you're the staff of an EFED or in that case, the staff of a community site, you got to remember what the mission is sometimes and just not use your power to carry a big stick, I don't know if that's what the case was in this specific instance you're referring to, because I didn't see the tweets you're talking about with Bill and Amy and everything. But, I mean, yeah, can power go to people's heads sometimes? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm going to say straight up now, because I like both guys, Brendan and Bill. They are both decent fellas, and the chances are they just got a bit sick of the way Megan handles herself sometimes. But as I've said before, you just kind of need to hash it out with people. Talk to them. We're all grown adults, and yeah, talking of Rough Cut, yeah, I had a few issues of my own over the years with Triple B. Yeah, that was a name that came up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was a mod there under the handle Iron Chef Canada, so I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that I am that person. But I mean, yeah, it was a long time ago, but I have some nightmare stories from that place.
Well, I was fairly a frequent visitor there between 2010 2014 myself, plugging Fed, so yeah, I know what it was like over there sometimes. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, that was brilliant. So let's move back on to you and to Ash Scion. You're the Anarchy champion now. Where do you go? Where are you going next?
I mean, I want to go through them all one by one. I want to have a good bit of fun here in the Anarchy division, and then when the time is right, I want to take that next step forward. And eventually, if you're still holding it, I want to come after you. But I mean, I'm in no hurry. I want to take my time. I want to enjoy this. The last Fed I was in that lasted a long time was the EWO. Everything I've done since then has closed within 6 months. So it's nice to be in a place that feels like it's at least stable enough that I don't have to make that sort of head rush to try and, go big right away, because I know I've got time. So.
Yeah, do you know what? the strange thing is, I came into Boardwalk with the same feeling. I'd been in so many fairs that have come up, closed down. I ran one, for Christ's sakes, that did that. I thought I'll come into Boardwalk. It's a big place, lots of characters. I'll just kind of float around for a bit, having a bit of fun here and there. I was champion within 3 pissing months, and now look what's happening. But yeah,
But that's it, right? Cream rises.
mm, yeah, I've made a big fuss about it. How well I did, but at the end of the day, anybody could have stepped up, and bloody me, Brennan Devlin is doing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you say you want a good run in the Anarchy division. You've seen a few of the characters pop up now. Do you have anyone in mind for a good Anarchy feud down the line, or are you just happy to take on all comers?
Oh yeah, you were the first one to step up and say it was going to happen. So yeah, me and that big 7-foot giant of yours might have to go a round or two.
Damn straight, yeah, I was quite... That pretty much came out of nowhere. I've had a few people kind of go, what? Anubis is me. There's no two ways. I think everybody knows that now. I decided, because I was completely off for the month of January and I was getting bored, I was getting a bit fidgety, I decided to pop in and, test out an old character again. He's always been my secondary character and he's always been the more kind of articulate of the two, so rather than just resorting to swears and insults every 5 seconds like Danny does.
Right.
And I figured I'd just step in, and yeah, then I got double fucking booked at the pay-per-view, didn't I? But I guess that's my own fault for going after 2 championships at once.
Well, look, and I'm a big fan of contrast. I mean, right off the bat, like, just looking at our characters as what they are, you and I have a very different writing style. And then on top of that, you look at Anubis and you look at Scion, and I mean, they couldn't be any more different physically. So, I mean, it'd be fun to play with that for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a chance. It will happen eventually. I don't know when, but I might try and pull Danny out of the ranks for a small match here and there this month. We'll hope. As you've seen, it's kind of... I don't have a lot of time on my hands at the best of times. And then I go and write small fucking novels for every roleplay I do, which is draining sometimes. But it's what I do to myself. So yeah, on the topic of roleplays, actually, it's a very interesting one. You said in the chat before, you and as Scion, you've never really done more than 1,600 words, give or take.
As any of my characters. All my characters are straight shooters. I've never been a guy to write third-person prose character development pieces in my competitive role plays. I just don't do it. I never have. I came up in '96 when I started. Everybody was doing bullet promos. I started off writing short, and I've always just done it.
Fair enough. So I mean, when that sort of thing happens, obviously that kind of style suits the Anarchy division down to the ground, and I'm sure you might even be able to pop in a hype once in a while and show you off your skills there. But when it comes to fighting somebody like myself or Amber or Megan or even Rico, who is much heavier on the character development side, how do you I to attack people like us?
Same way I've always done it everywhere I've played for 20 years. See, this is the thing. A lot of people come to e-fetting from a creative writing background. I didn't. I came from a debating background. A guy on my debating team introduced me to this game. So I've always come to it from the angle of, if I can frame the better argument as to why my character should win this match to the match judges and do it in a creative, articulate, and witty way, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but for a long time it's worked. So, it's just, that's what I do.
Yeah, it seems to be working for you so far. You've made an absolute storm in Boardwalk as it is at the moment. I mean, you and so many others that have come in over the past couple of weeks.
It's a hot time right now.
Oh, it is. When I came back to Boardwalk last summer, there was kind of a very evident division between the bottom and the top of the cards. And that has just been blurred so much. Some of the guys that are fighting at the bottom ends, the Anarchy and the Casino fighters, could easily step up to me if they weren't so far behind in just joining the Fediners.
Sure. But, I mean, with things like we got the Boardwalk Cup going on right now, who knows how that could that could pan out anyway.
Yeah. Well, it did seem for a while for me that things were getting a little stale. I was seeing the same guys come up, round the corner. I was constantly watching out for a Cyrus Riddle or a Matt Mayhew. And now things have changed, and there's so many new guys on the roster. I'm bloody excited to see them all. We're not going to steal Pettis' idea of the 3Fs, mainly because I hate that game because everybody fucking forgets me. Kind of, kind of fucking sick of that one, to be honest with you. Everyone forgets me. I don't want to face him, he's too good. Oh, piss off. I'm not that good.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I used to get it with the Kyle Cross character. So. Just why I
Yeah.
retired him.
Oh, God. That's the thing is so many times. But yeah, this I listened to last night's radio back this morning, and it was just one last time. It's like a guy that doesn't even know me was forgetting me just based off one roleplay I wrote for the bloody title match this past week. Too
Oh,
much, too much. But I mean, obviously, other than yours truly, have you got anyone that you wouldn't mind working maybe a more extended program with?
well, I mean, part of the backstory with Ash Scion is this all girl fight club movement she started through Twitter, and this idea that she's constantly trying to elevate other female fighters. So I mean, as soon as I bring her into any Fed, I look at that female side of the roster, and I look at people like Claire Fox, and go, yeah, that'd be fucking fun, or just so there's such a handful here in Boardwalk. I mean, as much as I don't want to see her relegated to just fighting other women,
Mm.
there's something about getting two female characters and getting a really good role play battle going and having them kind of steal the show that's gratifying for me from the angle of what the character was built to be. So there's that.
Yeah, it's an awesome idea. I mean, I'm a big women's wrestling fan. I mean, there's a couple of guys in the chat right now that are fans of my Universe series on YouTube. They know I like to push the women, and I always have done in Fedding. I've always tried to work with girls, especially female handlers, because their perspective seems to be so much different. And it's guys, you run a lot of the same thing over. You run over the egotistical maniacs who just like to make dick jokes and insult everyone along the way. And the women I've always found to be a little more articulate,
Yeah.
which is a lot more fun. I did see on Twitter the rounds are starting to be made for the Boardwalk Cup, and you've got a few supporters out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the advantages to Ash is that everywhere she's gone, I've tried never to burn bridges with characters. So I built this little coalition of actual Ash Scion fans, which is really kind of cool because it's played into matches in other feds and stuff. But I mean, just having this, I mentioned it a lot in the role plays for my first match here when I was going up against John Pariah, just sort of the idea that we both had peers that were backing us in the sport. It's just a neat way to do things that didn't really exist before Twitter, really.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's got to say, one thing I have noticed about the guys coming in lately, they come in with so much hype, it's unbelievable. You, of course, were one of them, Pariah's another one, Hansen was another one, and they just keep rolling in, especially with the closure of UTA right now.
Yeah.
You know a few of them, obviously.
Yeah.
We're going to go into your past a little bit here. Can you pick out your favourite opponent of all time?
Yeah, I can actually. It's Scott Free. This was a feud that built up over 8 years in the EWO, and we finally blew it off with one final match in 2013. And it got, I mean, this is a guy who I was friends with. We were in fantasy football leagues outside of the Fed. We were really good friends, but that last match, the stakes were high. I think we'd had 6 matches over the years, and I think it was a 3-3 split going into this final blow-off match, and it got real personal, but it was fun, and we built it up slow over 6 months, and it was the Kyle Cross Scott Free finale that it deserved, and it was really rewarding. So that was it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had yeah, everybody knows about my one. Me and Amber, we've been going 6 years now, and I've yet to defeat her. So we've been in so many different feds together. I think we've been in every single one together. And eventually, it is going to blow out. I mean, it's bound to happen. If I'm still champion, she's got that case. It's bound to happen, and I can't wait for it. Those long-term feuds really do leave a little something to be desired, and you just bring something completely.
And they're good for, I'm very much a push the Fed you're in, right? And it's another advantage of the Ash Scion character having almost all eFed followers on Twitter, is that when I come into a place, I can draw some eyes, and I mean, a feud like that in this day and age is so rare because feds don't last like that.
Mm.
That if you can draw enough attention and make people understand the story and make people come and watch, and people will sign up for the Fed because of a storyline like that. Like, people will see that and go, wow, this place really does shit right.
Mm.
And it helps the Fed grow. So, I mean, yeah, I'm dying to see the payoff on that one when it comes up. And I'll make sure Ashley's making sure everyone else knows about it as well. So.
Oh god, yeah, it should be a big one. And I've got a lot of personally, I've got a lot of unfinished feuds. A few with the guys already in Boardwalk. I mean, Juliet Brooks in particular, we started something in the summer, and then I kind of took off after the All In, and we never got to finish things after a heel turn. And I'd love to go back to that one eventually as well. What's the next thing I was going to talk about? The top 10. You made it within a month.
That's something impressive. That's great. I mean, I've been here less than a month, so I mean, just to crack into the top 10 is an achievement in and of itself. That's it means as much to me to have the guy who considers himself the figurehead of the company saying that my character is number 9 out of 10 after less than a month. That's as important as winning the title, really. So yeah, it's something.
Appreciate that, and I am going to be keeping an eye on people as they progress and how their storylines go. There's a lot of elements that goes into how I play the top 10. It works more like the Power 25 thing for the WWE. It does kind of jump and chop, and if you're out for a few weeks, you will drastically drop. Of course, that's not going to be a problem for you. You're in every week kicking ass, whereas I will probably be myself at the bottom of the list by next week. But let's move on to crowning achievement then. And obviously we've talked about your match, the Anarchy title match. What else stood out for you on that show?
What else stood out? I mean, the whole show was excellently written. And again, being here less than a month, the first pay-per-view is always a bit of a trick because I don't feel like I maybe knew as much about all the builds going into all the matches as I maybe should have. Obviously, I kind of had pieced together for myself and from a lot of what I saw on Twitter the controversy you talked about earlier going into the main event. Like I said, as soon as I saw that stipulation, anytime I see anybody do that, I think, okay, like there's some bad blood here because this is not the sort of thing you do, when it's just a game. So obviously, I knew that was putting pressure on the whole situation. I thought the match was really well written.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the ending was interesting. Yeah, I mean the role plays going into it. I mean, I agree with the final outcome. Obviously,
thank you.
I didn't. I also wasn't immediately aware of the thing with the deadline and all that with the second role play. I didn't really find out a lot of that until I was listening to the Boardwalk radio last night. So I mean, what was it? It was 4-3. I don't know. It's like it's like when you watch one of those MMA fights and you're convinced you know who won the fight, and then you hear it was announced as a split decision, and you're like, really? Like, what did I miss that somebody else saw? But again, I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't aware that there was a discrepancy with the deadline and all of that. So, I mean, to me, 4-3 seemed cutting it closer than it needed to be, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I said myself going into that one, I was confident. I almost felt rattled at the beginning because of the way CJ handled things, which is rare for me. I just get on with it. It's the way I've always done it. I'm very, very confident in my writing. To find out it was that close, the only match that's ever come as close to that was the All-In Rumble back in August where Ian Bishop beat me by a point, which still stings a little. You don't... do you know of Ian at all, Ian Bishop?
I do. I know the name.
Yeah, he's run in the same circles as me for a few years now, and he's been around a lot longer, to be fair. I was happy to lose to him. Losing by a point stung, but I know why I did, because my roleplay went on too bloody long. And I've always I always have to think when I write, I often write somewhere between 7 and 8k per roleplay. And I know, exactly, and I know a lot of people just jump straight over most of it. There are some that will read every single word. I know I put for the All In Rumble, I put out 16k for a choose your own adventure style thing, and it's one of my favorites I've ever written. And I know most people just completely skipped over most of it and just went to the trash. But
Look, I'll say this: what I've read of your stuff so far, I has had no problem keeping my interest. But when I was a Fed head and I was having to read, 40 role plays for an event, and there was a novel or two in there, I mean, they'd better be good because if you're not a good writer and you try to compensate simply by length, you're gonna lose me after 1,000 words. Like, because I can smell crap coming, and if I've got 40 role plays to read, I'm sorry, but I've already made up my mind. Like, I
yeah,
hate to say it, but it's true. Like, a lot of people think they're better than they are.
yeah, I kind of feel the same. I would say I fed edited for a little while, and I had a lot of guys that were big storytellers. I mean, Amber was still she was a bit rusty at the time, but she still had everything that I know her for. And when you see Amber Ryan come out with the best stuff she's got, you'll be knocked sideways. And she can write a lot more than me any day of the week. So can Amy Jo Smith, and both of them can knock me sideways any day of the week. It's about interest. It really is. If you can write 8,000 words and make every single word count, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can't, don't push it. It's as simple as that. Write what you're comfortable with. That's all I've ever
The
done.
counterpoint being, if you can write 1,000 words and still send a chill down my spine,
Yeah.
like, that's almost more valuable to me. There's something about an economy to words. If you can literally make me suck my breath in, or actually have an emotional punch, which, I mean, admittedly, 90% of role plays, regardless of length, don't do. But every once in a while, you read that one role play and your hair stands up on your arms. And if you can do that in 1,000 words as opposed to 10,000 words, that's skill.
Yeah, it is. There's no denying that at all. And to me, it's just a case of write what you want to write.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that.
Because if you're not having fun, there's no point in playing this game.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's all I've ever done. Yes, it's put me at the top of the field, but so what? I would be happy if I lost it tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. I'm going to try and hold out till Friday. But I'm not booked this week, so it's all good. I should be fine. So.
But remember, they only talk about the records when you're in the gold graces. Nobody talks about CM Punk being the longest reigning champion anymore. So.
Well, I do, but that's just me. Yeah, I know, but hopefully I will never piss off too many people.
There you go.
By the way, guys in the chat room, there are a few of you in there. If anybody's got any questions for Colin, fire them my way. I'll get them off to him. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I will have to cut at that time. But, yeah, just fire them at us. So, for you, Colin, we've got the Joker's Wild pay-per-view coming up, and as I've already mentioned, you've got a little bit of interest from people coming into that, from within the Fed and out.
Yeah. In fact, I just talked to Mike about that, and we may actually try and swing it to be my team may be 4 females from outside Boardwalk and me.
Which is outstanding. So, I'll leave that little secret up to you. If you had to pick 4 of the girls from within Boardwalk Wrestling right now, who would you pick?
Wow. Wow. Claire Fox, for sure. Yeah. This is going to get tricky, isn't it? Brooks. Wow. You know what? This is going to be controversial, but I'd take Amy Jo.
No, it's not controversial if you ask me, but yeah.
But she's already kind of said she doesn't want to have anything to do with it, so yeah, there's that. And then, wow, I don't know. The last one is there's too many to choose from. I could go unstable. I could go 1%. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave that last spot as just being up in the air right now because I'm going to get in trouble if I pick one or the other. I think so.
That's understandable. Yeah, I mean the female talent right now arguably is the top tier with
Yeah,
Amy Jo Smith, Amber Ryan, Claire Fox, and yourself and Sight Divine just shooting up the ranks, and Juliet Brooks is always going to be the stalwart of Boardwalk Wrestling. There is a lot of tough end female talent right now, and to be honest with you, I'm shocked I haven't defended against a female yet. Kind of
really.
waiting for
Well,
it to happen.
see, what I didn't know when I first sort of sent out those tweets last night is that shortly after Joker's Wild is the live ladies night, where
We are
they
redoing that.
invite women from all over EFEDing to come to Boardwalk for one night. So that sort of triggered off the idea, well, instead of doing 5 Boardwalk women against 5 Boardwalk men, maybe what we'll do instead is Ash will grab 4 females from outside Boardwalk and we'll go up against a 5 female team from inside Boardwalk, just to sort of pave the road to ladies' night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's a good idea. Ladies' Night kicked off first time last year, I believe it was. It was a brainchild of a former staff member. I believe it was Rob. Yeah, and it went off such a success. It saw the first introductions of Ramona and Amber to Boardwalk long before they became official roster members. So it does have a big kind of standing
Yeah.
as to
And I mean,
what.
if I had to pick, if I had to grab 4 women from outside Boardwalk for Ash's team, I mean, then there's names like Nina Stokes come up,
Hmm.
Avery Brooks, one of my old tag team partners. There's all kinds of possibility there.
Yeah, I've got to say, Roxy Johnson looked like she was mildly interested
Roxy,
as well, yeah.
yeah, Amy Drew, now
Mm.
Amy Streets would be another former tag team partner who I would look at bringing in. So I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of potential there. So
It should be interesting. So, speaking of tag teams then, the tag team division is up in the air right now, and obviously it's surrounded by its own controversy. Do you ever see yourself going for a tag title, or are you going to stay a singles girl,
I mean,
essentially?
I've done the tag team thing with Ash almost to death. I think she's been in 6 different tag teams.
Mm.
So, I mean, I would probably avoid doing it in the near future anyway. But, I mean, unless the chance came up to resurrect one of those teams,
Mhm.
I don't see starting a new one at this point.
And that's fair enough. I mean, as it goes with the tag team division, Psych Divine still holds on to her tag team championship case. She has not cashed it in yet. Do you think if Psych came to you and said, I want Ash as my tag team partner, you'd be happy to do
Yeah, just because I dig her character. Yeah, I
it?
probably would do it.
Yeah, you and me both. The night she won that case, I went to her on Twitter and said, if you ever need a partner, I know someone. I'm still technically allowed to chase the tag title, so why the hell not? And yeah, I mean that's the case. Do you know anything about the double down cases that we did back in I think it was November
Don't
time?
really. I just know that they're out floating around out there, but
Yeah, I mean the case was there was 5 cases hanging above the ring. 5 people claimed them. Claire Fox won the casino championship in her case because it was vacant at the time, and she's held on to it ever since. Amy Jo Smith got a main event shot against anyone for the following pay-per-view, and she chose me. But the other 3 cases, one shot for the internet title, one for the tag, and one for the AC championship, they're still out there. Can you see Skylar Fall has the internet case, Psych, as I said, has the tag, and Amber has the AC title. Just give a prediction out here now. Who do you think is going to be the first one to cash one of those in?
I mean, really, I'm throwing darts in the dark here, but I'd say Psych Divine.
Yeah, I've been highly intrigued about it. I kind of know Amber Ryan's plan, and I'm not going to give it away. As I said, me and her, we are probably best. We are the best of friends, so we have about 4 months worth of storylines planned out. But it's all dependent on whether I'm still champion or not, and that very well could be in jeopardy this coming month.
I mean, I'm a guy who's a big fan of organic storytelling, sort of letting these things develop by ourselves. So right now we have a situation where Psych Divine's got this briefcase, and a lot of people in Boardwalk are unhappy because an outside body has come and won the tag championships. I mean, it almost writes itself.
Hmm.
Like, she could be the hero of Boardwalk by taking back the tag titles, right? So, I mean, yeah, it just seems like a natural fit for me.
Yeah, you and me both. That one kind of came around. I mean, what's your thoughts on the Untouchables coming in, taking those titles?
I mean, they pretty much mirror yours. I mean, I don't agree with the fact that they were put in the match, but when you go back and read the role plays, you can't really argue the outcome.
No, I agree. I don't like that they just got given a shot. I don't at all. You had an up and coming team in Taryn Willow and Cat Jones in there, and the Lockharts have been here as long as anybody. They should have been given their chance to try and usurp the champions on their own. They've made their way up the ranks, and an outside team comes in and swoops them away. Yes, they deserve to win it, but they shouldn't have been given the shot in the first place. Maybe that's something that Aidan Moron and Mike can take up with me if they have a problem with the way I say it, but that's the way it
But
is.
I mean, that's just a general principle with me. I mean, I think everybody should have to. I mean, listen to me. Ash has had 2 matches before going into the Anarchy division and winning the title. But I mean, you should have to earn your stripes at least a little bit, just so people know that you're not a complete fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. I had 8 matches before I got my title match, but I got lucky at joining in the time just before the Rumble, and coming second in that is kind of what boosted me up. I didn't immediately get another shot. I still had to go through 7 other guys in a gauntlet match, 5 other guys, whatever it was. I think Shane and Keith have gotten themselves off to a bad start here, because a lot of the Boardwalk faithful are going to turn on them. It's no fault of their own. It's
no fault of their own, and maybe that's an opportunity for some good storytelling too. Like that's what I'm saying with Psych Divine. This could be a good opportunity for to use that briefcase. I mean, take these situations that have some root in the real world, and I mean, the best thing you can do with them to have a positive outcome is turn them into good storylines.
Yeah, and storylines, we have some good ones and we have some bad ones. We have some really, really bad ones from time to time.
Yeah, but we're no different than the WWE in that. So
we're no different than any other Fed out there. Some storylines kind of get started and they just get stopped. They get forgotten about. I'm kind of in a rut sometimes that my storylines get pushed for me because challenges get decided for me. As much as I've wanted to pick my own over the last couple of months, I haven't been allowed to. But
I'll tell you a problem I've always had. I mean, and it comes directly from the fact that I write a naked shoot style, is that a lot of people don't want to get involved in storylines with me because they don't think that I'm capable of developing my end of the storyline writing just shoots. I mean, I've had people shy away from me for doing it for years.
Yeah, and I've got a similar problem with people not wanting to face me, which is ridiculous because anybody could usurp me any time of the night. But we've got Miss Brooks in here, who is the storyteller in Boardwalk Wrestling. I mean, you saw kind of a lot of the feud between her and Psych. To me,
I heard more about it than I actually read. Like, listening to the Boardwalk Radio, I heard about a lot of the incidents they'd put into the storyline that I hadn't necessarily seen every one of them. Stuff like pushing the mother down the stairs and stuff. I must have missed that, but it was obviously a lot of work had gone into that.
Yeah, and that segues nicely into what I was going to do next, which was every single week I managed to do these one, I'm going to give a vote on Hot Feud, and right now it is still Psych and Juliet, because the storytelling they have given us over the past number of weeks has been astronomical. It's been something that we can all strive to, and the thing with Juliet is that happens a lot. Some of the standout storylines of last year were her turning heel and joining the Unstable and the issues she had with Dickhead O'Donnell, and so credit to them.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of it. I mean, obviously, as a reader, I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see what happens next in that storyline. At the same time, as a handler, I can understand the two of them wanting to go, okay, we need to step away from this for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then fire it back up, because you will burn out going up against the same person, either just in storyline or in actual matches, again and again and again. So I don't know. I want more, but I also I'd like to see them maybe give it a rest for at least a couple of weeks and then.
Well, it's going to happen anyway because of the cup. They don't have a
True
choice
enough.
right now. That's stepping in the way. I've always said the best storylines are the ones that go on for months with other matches going on.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that, again, I might be tooting my own horn a little bit, but if anybody's been paying attention to the shows, obviously you're a bit too new to see it. The build between Amber and I has been going on since she joined, and we haven't had a match yet. We haven't even come close to having a match yet.
yeah.
It stems from my taking down the unstable thing, which, is typical Danny B enter power trip play, which I've done before. Everybody knows it. But coming out of Joker's Wild, who do you reckon is going to be making it to the end? Who do you see as maybe the top 3 or 4 guys that could make it all the way to the end?
For the cup or Joker's Wild, the team thing.
Either or. Why not?
I mean the cup. It's we've only seen half of the bracket so far, so I don't even know. I've heard some rumors that there might be a couple of people I'm familiar with who are not currently in Boardwalk, who might be in the second half of the bracket, that could upset things a little. Obviously, Pariah is, I hate to say it, but the dude's always a threat.
Mm.
And from an out of character point of view, I mean, I know John's got a lot going on in his real life. It's part of the reason he closed Redefine. But if he can, if he can keep that part of his world, organized and running straight, and still devote a piece of his mind to this game, he can be real dangerous when he's on his shit. So, yeah, I think he could do well. I'm planning on trying to advance as far as I can.
Yeah,
Fingers
well,
crossed.
you've got a good opponent this week. I'm a big fan of Tara and Willow, and should be a
Yeah.
classic. So,
I love any opportunity to steal the show with someone like that. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, Taryn was feeling a little dejected after not winning the tag team titles at Crowning Achievement, but I had a little pep talk with her, and she's fired up, ready to go. So hopefully, she's going to give you the best she can manage. Which
yeah. I liked her first piece. It was good, and it gave me plenty to work with. So
that's what I like to hear. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun, but I am going to have to wrap this up now. We are running out of time. Thank you very much, Colin, for joining me on
it was fun.
the rebirth of the Rippercast. I've had a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do this for ages, and finally we're getting it back up and running. So hopefully I will be back next week, probably about the same time, and hopefully we'll get a new guest on here. These shows are going to be left on the show reel for maybe another hour after this, and then I'm going to be taking them down and putting them up on my YouTube channel, which, if anybody isn't aware, is youtube.com/the Ripper Danny B. Basically, you can find me under that hashtag, that username, fucking anywhere. So, yeah, go check him out there if you want to go check out the first part of this. Colin has been absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to see what Ash Scion does from now on. Don't forget to tune in next week, and we'll see how things have progressed. Thank you very much for joining me, bud.
No problem, man.
All
Anytime.
right, we'll catch you guys another time then. Peace out.